guess just what are your anticipations, of A-Day, kind of you've been through several of these now. What are your thoughts?
I think our goal as an offense is just to come out and execute. We've been trying to eliminate what we call unforced errors, which are just kind of they can stop a drive, they can, those types of things that slow an offense down. So our goal is just to come out and play as clean of a game as possible, make as few mistakes, and be an efficient offense.
What does A-Day mean to you?
I think it's we look at it as it's our third scrimmage, but it's our final impression, both on the coaches and on the country. It's on nationally televised games, so that's kind of how we look at it. As it's our first statement as the 2018 team.
Where do you feel like the offensive line has progressed? There's been some movement in mix and match and stuff like that, but obviously after the first game there was talk about pressure. Where do you feel like the offensive line has come since then?
I think we've come a long way, and the spring's about finding who the best players are and how they unfold on the O-line. And so I think that you do kind of run into some issues because we're not a unit that's played together for however many practices and games that we end up playing in the season. We only have 15 practices in the spring, so you don't really get that opportunity to gel as much, but that's what the spring's for, because we're not playing another opponent, so we don't have to game plan and that type of thing. We can just figure out who the best guys are and what positions they play at. So I think that, we've made some improvements, and I think we're kind of continuing to gel as spring practice has gone on.
Alabama and Notre Dame announced today they're going to play a game, 2 games in 10 years from now. If you had a choice, if you could pick, one team you could play at a road game at a non-conference school, which would there be a school you'd want to play at?
That's a good question, man. It's difficult because I grew up an SEC fan. Having parents that went to SEC schools and that type of thing. So we pretty much play all the teams that I'd want to play because that's all the teams that I grew up being focused in on. Schools like Notre Dame and, all the big dynasties that have existed for however long. That's obviously, we consider ourselves one of those teams. So to have those matchups, that's exciting for the future of college football, I guess. How long? He says in 10 years.
28 and 2029. So
wow.
you probably won't be around for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing a little better in school than that. But
Was that 12-year senior again?
yeah, jeez. But it'll be a fun game to watch in 10 years.
Who are some of the other offensive linemen that are making an impression this spring?
I think a lot of guys are. We work hard all off season, all the spring ball and stuff. So, and also just a lot of the guys that we have right now are younger, and so for them, they've gone through, like in Alex's case, he's gone through a spring, a season. This is his second spring, so that's a lot of practice reps. That's a lot of that. So I think he's improved a lot. Just all the guys who came in as freshmen last year, they've gone through a whole season. Now they're going through another spring. So I think that just having that time in the program and that many practices causes a lot of improvements.
Given to his injury, are you able to see, maybe how the mechanics of the offense are going to work, as well as you would have been had he been, fully healthy and able to go through spring practice?
I think it's a little bit different from a player perspective than a fan perspective, because for you guys, you're watching the game, you're watching the whole offense. For me, I'm looking at my DN, my linebacker, safety. I'm looking at these guys that are in front of me and how I have to deal with it. So most of the time when I'm out there, I don't really know who's in the backfield, so it doesn't change our offensive philosophy much as we go, as much as it would for kind of somebody who's watching, or even for the coaches, as it does for the players on the field. So I wouldn't say that there's, a lot of different dynamics, no matter who's in. It's all about, for me, I look at it as a microcosm of just being the O-line in my own play. So I just haven't really, that's not what I'm keyed into, I guess is what I'm saying.
In that sense, are you able to harness the momentum, though, that you guys were able to generate in that second half, where, everything was kind of, functioning on a, pretty optimum basis?
Yeah, I think that ending the season on a positive note like that definitely encourages that positive attitude. which I think can, depending on how you look at it, can be just as helpful as that angry energy from having lost the previous national championship. I think that you can look at it both ways as being something that helps us play better, whether it's positive or negative motivation.
Nick talked about how Jalen is kind of making, you can see the confidence in his game growing a little bit, and he's making decisions that maybe in the past he might have taken off and ran or whatever. Where are you seeing that progress this spring? Can you notice that? Do you see it in the way he talks or on the practice fields?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before, but when we first came in, Jalen and I came in together, we were bottom of the totem pole. You know what I mean? We're the youngest guys. Everyone else was older than us. We're just trying to make an impression, make our name. And then now when we look around, there's some guys that are older than us, you know what I mean? But not a lot of guys that have, you know, that much experience, and most people are younger with less experience. So it does kind of change the chemistry of the team, being more of a veteran player, an older guy. So I think that in the same way that it's helped me playing more, this is my third spring, I've been through 2 whole seasons, that's just a lot of practice reps, you know, thousands of reps, and you know, it's the same for him. So I think that he's definitely, I mean, you'd have to ask him about that. I can't tell you what he's feeling, but I think that, you know, he definitely appears like he's very confident.
Last time we talked to Nick, he said he expects the offensive line to kind of be one of the strengths of the team. Do you guys feel that way?
I think that that's our goal, obviously. We have a lot of experience there. I mean, Ross is a 4th-year player. I'm a 3rd-year one. So, I mean, these are guys that, you know, and we have Lester, and we have a bunch of guys, Casher, Matt Womack, guys that have, you know, been in this program and have been through it. So, you know, we look at other positions. We have talent across the board. We have very talented wide receivers, for example, but not a lot of experienced guys over there. So I think that, you know, we want to be leaders of the offense all the time, but especially this year, I think we kind of get that feeling that, you know, we're one of the veteran groups, and this is something, you know, that we can kind of set the tempo of the offense.
Is it ever harder to do that when you guys don't have the ball? Is it harder to kind of set the tempo or set the tone?
You mean like when the defense is on the field?
No,
just
just
like
like
don't have the
as
ball?
an offense, is it more difficult in some ways?
No, I mean, we come out and we have the same goals every game. We want to dominate the line of scrimmage, you know what I mean? We want to run the ball effectively. We want to protect the quarterback. So as an O-line, if we accomplish those goals, usually things work out pretty well.
You mentioned Leatherwood earlier. You know, where do you feel like he has made that progress, and are you giving him any advice, knowing that you played that position a few years ago? You know, that right tackle, he's moved left to right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who, you know, he works hard on his own, and so I've told him, like, I'm here if you need me, but I'm not going to badger you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to, you know, get him into shape or anything like that. No, but I think that with the experience that he's had, this is his 2nd spring, you know, having gone through all this, I think you can kind of start to eliminate all the thinking that sometimes you have to do when young players come in and they start overthinking, you know, what's the defense doing, what's my assignment on this play, you know, what could possibly happen, and it causes you to kind of play a little bit slower. And I think that when you're more comfortable in that position and you're not overthinking stuff, it allows you to play to your ability, and he certainly has a lot of ability. So I would say that's part of the biggest thing.
Can you describe your experience at the White House and how that went?
It was awesome, man. I think that it was in the nature of an Alabama trip where it's very business-like. We were probably there for, 2.5, 3 hours, you know, fly in, fly out. But it was cool. I hadn't been there since I was a kid. So just kind of seeing the White House and being in the Capitol, it's stuff that you only see on movies and that type of thing. And you're driving around like, this is actually, you know, everyone's wearing suits and there's all these monuments and buildings and that type of thing. So it was a really cool experience for us, and it's definitely an honor, you know, to be recognized on that stage.